As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 98 of Zero to Hero, presented by J29 Creative Group. Happy Red Thursday, everybody. I don't know about anybody out there that's watching. I am super pumped for tonight, super excited for our boys to get out there and handle some business. But let's get back to the show. So we have another awesome guest. It's from one of Kansas City's largest companies, definitely one of the most well-known in the city. She is the director of Diversity, Belonging, and Inclusion at H&R Block. Her name is LeAna Flores. So let's go ahead and bring her in. LeAna, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Hello. How are you, Gino?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for working through all the security. Obviously, everybody out there that is watching this, you can know that nothing's going on at H&R Block. They're keeping everything locked down there. They're keeping it secure, which is why we're joining you a little bit later. But we made it. You're here, so tell us a little bit about what's going on at H&R Block.
Yeah, and first of all, we got to call it out. I am not wearing it today. I am so sorry to everybody.
Disappointment.
I blame it on, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I hail from the Windy City, from the city of big shoulders, and that means I am a very sad Chicago Bears. So it takes me a little bit to remember. I have red gear that I should have worn, and so I apologize to everybody out there. But shout out to them Chiefs. I know they'll have a great game today. But a little bit about, H&R Block and even more about what I get to do. Like you said, Gino, I am the very proud director of diversity, inclusion, and belonging at H&R Block. So that's for those of you out there. We've seen like, hey, that might sound a little bit different. Typically at companies, it's called DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. And belonging is so important to us. It had to be kind of involved in everything that we do. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with H&R Block as others, we are a Kansas City born company. Our founders, Henry and Richard Block, were from Kansas City. They actually created the space of assisted tax prep, which makes it very exciting for us here. And we have a lot of pride, not only in the city, but pride in our company and what we get to do and serving communities across the country. We have an amazing crew of tax professionals that are available to you 12 months out of the year. So I'm just super proud to be at this amazing company.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I remember, H&R Block is kind of moving on past taxes now too. There's quite a few other services that are offered within Block as well now, I believe, right?
You got that right. So we love our clients holistically, and we understand that while the tax event is one time a year for most, there are so many other things that we're happy to kind of help you along the journey with. So whether folks are entrepreneurs or small business owners, there is a fleet of products for us to be able to assist you. And we are also really great about getting into the fintech industry and our Spruce card that we have for folks that potentially could be underbanked. We know, especially in my world of DE&I and being a member of a marginalized community, it's great and it feels very reassuring that there are folks like H&R Block that can be there to help us through those times and to educate us and to create resources. And we do that through, like I mentioned, our Spruce card and other financial services that we offer.
I love it. I love it. Now, your position is something that's fairly new within the last 20 or so years, I would say. I don't know when the first DEI position was made within corporations. Obviously, it was something that was vastly needed well before it actually came about. But what are some of the ways, that within this massive corporation of H&R Block that you are making sure everybody's, feeling like they belong and they are included and that we are diverse?
What a great question. And you're right. And I wouldn't be able to tell you the first DEI practitioner in corporate America. God bless them. I hope they're still out there doing amazing things because it's a tough gig.
Oh, I
Um,
bet.
it's important, for us to not only ensure that we are beating the drum for the folks that I mentioned that are marginalized, but also for everyone that works within our four walls and beyond, right? So belonging to us is so much more than just saying we want to be diverse, right? Like that's what everybody I think kind of says. We say we want you to feel like you belong here and that you
Yeah.
have a space no matter where you come from or what your background is. But we are also unapologetic about saying there are real gaps in our country and in our world. And we're here to make sure that those folks that didn't have a voice or as loud of a voice, that they're heard now. And so I think that's really important to mention too. So it's a little bit of everything for everyone. And as long as the work is intentional, as long as we are real and authentic about what we do, I can sleep well at night.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems from the outside that you guys are doing a fantastic job according to what we see on social media, right? I think it's really pumped out there, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask you to put everything in H&R Block aside, and I'm going to ask you to tell me who is LeAna Flores. Give us the elevator pitch about who you are.
I think about this often, Gino, right? And it changes day to day. I
Yeah, good.
think of myself as an amazing sister and an amazing daughter and friend, and that those things are paramount to who I am. But then some days it's a boss that has to come in and say, "Hey, we've got to get things done," and I'm responsible to an amazing team of folks that are passionate about DEI and look to me and need me to make sure that I'm steadfast in carrying out what we need to do. So I think, especially as women, we put on different hats every single day. It's never the same. So to quantify or to even capture who I am, well, it's Thursday, right? So we'll see who I am today. Today I'm a football fan and I'm excited about what's going on in KC, and I think Cornucopia starts this weekend in Power and Light, which I'm so excited, which is my neighborhood. So it really changes, but at the end of the day, as long as I don't forget that I am that girl from the south side of Chicago and that my sisters walk with me in every room that I go in, I'm good. So I wish there was an easy answer that just sums up who I am in a nutshell, but it really depends on the vibes and the day. Truly.
I love it. I love it. I am amazed that we got through there without mentioning fashion at all, because you're
Yeah.
obviously extremely fashion forward, as
But
uh as my wife will tell everybody. So, for those who may not know, Danielle, my wife, and LeAna used to work together, so there's a little bit of an inside joke there. But she, she some days fashion police is in there as well.
no, I don't know about police. Security, no. I my past life, which I'm sure we may get into a little bit, was in fashion retail, right? So before I joined Block, which funny story, because when I got that call from H&R Block, I was like, I think you got the wrong girl. Like I about clothes and about handbags and about shoes and all the things, but they said no, we need people that know people, and that's what I knew. Like if you can make
Yeah,
someone feel confident just by the clothes that they put on their back, like that is shout out to everybody who works in any type of service, whether it's retail or hospitality or food services, because it really is, it's tough work, and you really have to know how to connect. And so I was able to do that. So yes, fashion is a passion of mine. It is something that I love deeply. But more importantly, I love for folks to realize how amazing that they are. And sometimes we tell our stories with the clothing that we wear. And not for nothing, you are wearing that red Chiefs gear proudly, and that's the story that you're telling. So I think that all of us can express ourselves in unique ways, and I'm always just a big cheerleader for however folks want to do that.
I love it. I love it. Little known fact about me, LeAna, my first job where I actually got cut a check was at Express, and
Oh,
it was at the Metro North location, which was a women only location. So a little bit of a fashionista myself.
I'll take it.
So let's loop it back. So we were talking about social media, right? And how well H&R Block does about really pumping out there that people do belong there. So tell us a little bit about that journey. How has that tool really helped you to get that message out?
Yeah, you got it. So I think with social, it's super important and it's important to all of our lives, right? I don't know if you can find those few folks that are like, I'm not on any social handles. Like, wow, tell me what that's like. But for us here at Block, embrace it. Something that we're really proud of. Our marketing and experience organization here within our four walls at Block, they work incredibly hard to make sure that the stories that we are telling are reflective of who we are, right? And so they're intentional about showing faces of folks that look like our clients that we serve and also look like the neighborhoods that we're in. We really want to tell stories that are relevant to the business that we do, but also relevant to the times, right? And so what I get really excited about right now, Gino, is we are fully getting into the world of TikTok. And so I love that. Shameless, plug here for myself. Like I can spend hours on TikTok with no shame, right? So it like I don't know what the algorithm has done to know exactly what I want to see, but it's to us, it's like let's not fight against those things that are happening in our world. Let's embrace them and show folks that H&R Block is not a stuffy company that is your grandparents tax company, right? We're relevant. We are telling the stories of our folks and folks that look and sound and feel like the communities that we serve.
Yeah, absolutely. And your employees do a great job of sharing on their own pages, right? Kyle is one that comes to mind who is always out there pumping up cheerleading for Block, which is great. I mean, it's so fun too to see, you guys all in the auditorium doing awards, right? Or some of the outings that go on there, right? So I love seeing that kind of stuff, and it really is a fun company. When you think of H&R Block, I think from the outside, without knowing much about them, you do kind of think, oh, yeah, it's a tax company, right? But when you really dive into who H&R Block is, they bleed it, man. They love it. They love everything about it, and they are a bunch of fun over there for sure, as you can tell with LeAna joining us on the show today. So I love it, LeAna. Now I'm going to ask you, every superhero has a defining moment. What do you think yours is, not only when it comes to your career, but your life as well?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think uh, I am first generation college graduate of my family. And so that is something that don't take for granted. I know I didn't do it by myself. I have an incredible family that I almost look to as like my tribe, right? And so I've said this before and I'll say it probably a few more times. I stand on their shoulders. And it was taught to me at a very young age that I wasn't going to be a stereotype or just another statistic. And so that pressure that a lot of first generation college graduates feel of like, I got to do what my parents worked and my grandparents and aunts and uncles worked so hard to get me to. So I think graduating and being able to have them all there, and I mean, my entire extended family at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, all of them being able to witness that and watch me break stereotypes, I think truly defined where I was going to continue to go. And honestly, and I was able to share this with some folks at H&R Block a couple weeks ago, was that this job that I have now today, this office that I sit in this beautiful building in downtown Kansas City, this role has changed not only my life, but any lives that will come from me. So generational, right? And I think that's important to say and to call out because there are so many folks that need the opportunity that I have been so blessed to receive. And so getting this position and saying, because I was in that sales organization, right? And if you know that, it's you've got to be hungry. You have to be, you are driving business every single day. And so to take a new position on the side of the business that is obviously corporate focused, I think has defined where I go from here on out. So I think those two things, and truly this company, Gino, you nailed it. Something happens when you start at H&R Block. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they give us some water. I don't know if it's a matrix, red pill, blue pill type thing, but whatever it is, you very quickly become just so loyal and so in love with the company and with the folks that are here. I do think, if I had to think anecdotally, if I go back in my brain, when the work that we're doing is so connected to people, and the first time you work at H&R Block, in even in our field organization, mostly in our field organization, and somebody tells you, because you found this deduction or because you did this, I was able to fill in the blank, take my kids on vacation for the very first time, save, money to put away for college and other things. Once you realize the impact that you truly make on Americans' lives, it becomes a part of your purpose. And so a lot of folks here at H&R Block, if not all of them, are such purpose-driven people. And we do these things because we can feel and see the difference that we make. It's very easy to become attached. And I've got to meet folks. I had a call with somebody today who was like, hey, I just celebrated my 25th year at H&R Block. And you're like, wow, that is incredible, because it becomes a part of you and you feel very connected to the brand and to the work that we do. So it does happen. It's not phony. I promise y'all, it is not phony. It is real. It's not perfect. This isn't like a utopia where everyone's like high-fiving and all that stuff. It's hard work, right? We get into it, and but I think the best part is our connected culture, and we truly work side by side. I like to stay away, just as the DEI practitioner that I am, of we're a family, right? Because that almost leans into like that toxic positivity. So I stay away from that. So y'all won't hear me say that, but especially because my family doesn't have to compensate me for hanging out with them.
Right.
But they don't.
Fair point.
Right? Like, we're a team, and we take our teammates very seriously, with respect and with integrity. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart, for sure.
I love it. And it really trickles down. I mean, even to the field offices. I happily admit that I have had my taxes prepared by H&R Block for my entire married life, which we're coming up on 13 years. Just shout that out real quick. But man, I tell you what, our first one in Long Beach, great gal. I wish I could remember her name, but she was so caring and so, compassionate with us, right? I mean, as young 20 somethings who were trying to figure it out, right? And get our taxes done, right, at the same time. And she, dealt with our frustrations and our joys, right, and all, just with stride. And it's even here in Kansas City, the tax professional we have here is absolutely amazing as well, and patient with us as well. So I think it really, it starts at the top, but you can see that even in field offices. I mean, we're talking at offices in two different states, right, two different cities, where very similar, experience, if not the exact same. So
that's important to us, right? That no matter where you are, and whether you're completely virtual, right? So we have those offerings. Or even if you want to do your taxes yourself, but you want someone just to give you street cred that you did it right. No matter how you want to be served, we want you to have that same experience. And for so many folks, your tax professional knows more about your life than your family does, right? Because you're not going to tell, like, here are my W-2s, here's what I've made all year long. But you'll tell your tax pro, right? And they're able to, sure, if you went back to that tax professional that helped you all out in Cali and told them, okay, here we are, 2 children later, a house, all these things, they're as happy for you as you are for yourself.
Right.
I think, again, that really speaks to how special all of our amazing tax professionals are, and how deeply they care for their clients. And how could we not support that here in Kansas, knowing that the connections that folks make are long lasting?
Absolutely. Yeah. H&R Block is definitely one of those brands that we love, not just because it's from Kansas City, right? It's also a fantastic company as well. There's a few of those out there. I was talking with somebody about that the other day, but this is one that truly shines and does a fantastic job. Now, obviously, heroes have attributes, LeAna. Villains also have attributes. What are the attributes that you feel are specific to a hero and really define what a hero is?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. tough question, Gino, right? Like these are not softballs. Because then I'm like really taking it seriously. Like, what do I feel, or who is heroic that I say, okay, here are the attributes. So if I'm thinking about it, obviously bravery to me, like you have to be courageous and brave and say, I am just going to go out there and do what needs to be done. Something that is incredibly important to me and my personal brand and just who I am and thinking of heroes that I've had in my past is conviction, right? And so I'm going to pause there and just explain what I mean by that. And I I know that in the work that I do, I'm not going to make everyone happy. There's going to be some stuff that folks say this disagrees with my way of life, with my thoughts, with my how I was raised, my religion, you fill in the blank. But at the end of the day, I have to have conviction and say, I get that, but I'm gonna say this with my whole chest, right? Like that's what we say it in some communities. Like say it with your whole chest, say it and you mean it, and let this be what you stand on. And if you're wrong, you're gonna be wrong. I'm not, I'm wrong quite often, but did I have conviction in the decisions that I made? And I think every hero has to have that conviction for sure. And then I also think that, if I had to say what makes somebody heroic outside of being brave and courageous and having that conviction, I think having that empathy and compassion for other folks. You can't do it. We've seen it done, right? We've seen the folks that are super brave and they'll be the first on the line, and then they feel strongly in what they say, but they lack that empathy and they lack the compassion for other people, and that isn't someone that anyone considers a hero. So I think having those things truly, and I think you can be a hero in a million different ways. It doesn't have to be this grandiose amazing thing that you do. You can do these things by just being there for your kids, or championing somebody who's being bullied, or just having a voice. And so I think it can look different. The scale can vary immensely, but at the end of the day, to me, I think those are a few of the attributes that folks would need to say, all right, that was an act of hero behavior if I've ever seen any.
I love it. I love it. And, no matter what you're doing, you're never going to be able to make everybody happy. So just do what you feel is right anyways, right? It doesn't matter if we're talking diversity and inclusion, or if we're talking, football or baseball or whatever, whatever the case is, somebody's always going to be mad at something. So just, be yourself,
That's right.
just do your
That's all
thing,
you
do
got.
your thing. That's it. That's all we can do for sure. All right, LeAna, last question for you. This is the one that hangs up quite a few of our guests, at least for a second. Now, if you had to pick any superhero out there that best relates to LeAna Flores, who
Oh,
would that be, and tell us why?
okay, so I am a Marvel fan. However, and I don't know if anybody who's listening or rewatches this is like me, but I am the Marvel fan that's watching it and then has to pull out her phone to Google, like, now wait a minute. Did that happen earlier? Am I supposed to know who this is from another somewhere in the universe? So I am that person who loves every single Marvel movie, but it feels like I've missed something in some way because you're listening, you're not listening. So I love this question. I'm super excited, and so when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I love Doctor Strange. I think he is so smart. I could never be a doctor. It's too hard, but love everything and love how I always say that, Doctor Strange does this thing, and spoiler alert, if you have not seen the Avenger movies, turn this off, do not go any further. But he like does this thing where he sees every possible outcome, right? Like he look and you're like his head's going in all these different ways. And that's what I do in my job. So I know that if, let's say, we make a statement about something, okay, I know this may take it this way, this will go this way, or what if somebody screenshots from there? So I'm constantly in this work looking at things from different possible angles. So I could see that. Then of course, I mean, if you don't say Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, is not one of your favorite superheroes, then what are we doing? What are you saying? What are you doing? So I can literally, as you could see, I could probably talk about these folks all day, every day. I nerd out about Marvel superheroes, amongst other things. And then obviously, the new Black Panther and how that came to be, and just all love the immersion of culture. If you have not seen the new Black Panther, how they take the roots of Mexican culture and marry that to all of the amazing Black excellence. So love all that. But to answer your question, my dear friend, if I had to pick one of the fantastic superheroes that I would love to liken myself to, it's one that I'm obsessed with currently. Anytime I fly, I look for it in my little app to watch, and that's Spider-Man. However, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. He is my favorite one, but not Tom Holland's Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. My Spider-Man is Miles Morales. And so for
Okay.
those not familiar, it's all animated. It's the story of Miles Morales, who obviously is bit by this radioactive spider, right? We all know the Spider-Man story. However, he is a young kid from Brooklyn, New York. He is, I believe, he is biracial. It seems his dad is Black, his mom is Puerto Rican. I believe if she's Dominican, I apologize to the Dominican folks. Very serious to know the difference, and I do. But I love that it gave the audience this new face, and it gave this audience a taste of the culture, and they go back and forth in Spanish sometimes, and the hip hop and just the urbanness of New York City and that concrete jungle. And so, I mean, I absolutely love him. But I think what I love the most thus far from his story is that, he has to maintain his authenticity in spaces where folks don't want him to win, or folks second guess him being there. And so for me, it truly speaks to imposter syndrome, and that we feel, especially here in corporate America, no matter what background you come from, whether you're LGBTQIA+, whether you're a person of color, whether your religious background, however you identify, there's this sense that, do I belong here? Am I good enough? Do I deserve these opportunities? Is the person sitting next to me so much more valuable because they came from the right college, they came from the right high school, they went to college and have all these backgrounds? So do I deserve this place? Do I deserve this spot? And so for me, when I think of this, and for those who have seen the movie, I'm sure you understand, it's he has to find his own path, and he's not Peter Parker, and he's never going to be Peter Parker, right? Like, that is Spider-Man, but he's Miles Morales, and that's going to be okay too. So if I had to think of who I would love to be more like, this kid from Brooklyn with this curly hair and, these Jordans on, that's all day, every day, I think what I would love to be like. So shout out to all the superheroes in the world, but that's the one for me today, right now.
I love it. Maybe different tomorrow. Who knows? It's different LeAna tomorrow.
That's right.
Maybe different. No, I love that. That's such a good answer for sure. And it really all loops back to who you are as a person for sure. So I love that. LeAna, thank you for coming on the show. How can people, I'm sure pretty much everybody out there has heard of H&R Block and knows where to find it, but just in case somebody doesn't know where to find you guys, how can they keep up with you, what you're doing, and where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So we are on all social handles. So please find us. Just type in HR Block. We would love for y'all to come and check us out. Facebook, Instagram. We are present everywhere. Even if you're looking at a lot of our group, mentioned this earlier, you hear about them as employee resource groups, but we call them belonging groups, right? Because everybody belongs, and they're open for allies and for everyone. And all of those guys all have showcase pages on LinkedIn too. So encourage you guys, anything you see from Block is really great material that folks put out to just tell our story even more. So, and of course, the big dog, the hrblock.com, and great stuff there. And we have a career site that attaches to where you can see who we really are and what stories we want to tell about our associates and what life is like here at Block.
I love it. And if you want to connect with LeAna directly, you can obviously do that on LinkedIn as well. She's on there, LeAna Flores. So LeAna, thank you for coming on the show again. You're absolutely amazing. I love your energy. Obviously, one of the biggest personalities in the city, I think, up there with Justin Short. I don't know if you know who that is, but Justin Short is one. You might be 1A. Love you both. You're both fantastic. What was
Well,
that?
listen, thank you so much. I apologize to everyone for the late start and the technical difficulties. Y'all are propped up on my phone on a box. We make it work. That's the other thing about folks at Block is that we don't let one thing stop the show. So we will make it happen for everyone out there. So Gino, this has been a labor of love and a pleasure. And I have nothing but respect for you and the work that you do. Keep putting Kansas City on the map. Keep showing folks what this city has to offer and the amazing folks. And you are right there amongst all of them, my friends. So I'm giving you all your props and all your flowers, and I just appreciate you even holding space for me to tell a little bit about my story and a little bit about the amazingness that is H&R Block. So shout out to you, my friend. And
thank you.
Find me on LinkedIn, y'all. I love to connect with people. I love to chat. I will probably talk about H&R Block. You will be sick and hear me talk about it, but it's real here and we love it and it's different. So just thank you. I want you to make sure you heard it straight from me that I appreciate you and I appreciate the work that you do for this city. So thank you, my friend.
I appreciate that for sure. And everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Always appreciate you guys checking out the show. Have a good day.
Bye.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.